U.S. officials just warned about Russian cyber threat. Of course, their next target was USA. The Russians just don't seem to be backing away from creating chaos. President Biden warned that evolving intelligence suggests Russia is exploring options for potential cyber attacks targeting U.S. critical infrastructure. There has been a sustained cyber conflict over Ukraine which could still escalate, senior U.S. intelligence officials have told the BBC. Hello everyone, welcome to Cybercrime Time. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you never miss an update about the latest cybercrime news and trends. Let's move on. Despite warnings, major cyber attacks on the West have so far not materialized. But Russia shouldn't be underestimated. Meanwhile, independent hackers targeting Russia in support of Ukraine could also spark escalation. One of America's most experienced cyber officials said, "I'm still very worried about the threats emanating from around the Russia-Ukraine situation." Initial surprise that Russia did not launch an all-out cyber assault to cripple Ukrainian infrastructure as the war began has been replaced by an understanding that there has been far more aggressive activity than first thought. This included Russia deploying 8 or 9 different viruses to wipe computer systems. The US, UK, EU, and other nations accused Russia of targeting a satellite communications provider used by the Ukrainian military, a hack which spilled over to affect other customers in Europe. But Ukraine's defenses have held up relatively well, partly thanks to its experience going back years. Mr. Biden said that the magnitude of Russia's cyber capability is fairly consequential, and it's coming. While there's no evidence of any specific cyber attack threat, U.S. officials have observed preparatory work linked to nation-state actors. Such activity could indicate increased levels of scanning websites and hunting for vulnerabilities among U.S. companies. Further details on U.S. intelligence remains unclear, but as Moscow could look for ways to retaliate against economic sanctions imposed following their invasion of Ukraine. Potential targets include the U.S. financial sector, electric grid, water treatment plants, and hospitals. Russia is probably looking to aggressively respond in a manner that won't lead to war with the U.S., and cyber attacks are a means for them to exact costs without crossing a major red line. Well, aren't they extremely smart? Cyber attacks are often reversible and non-lethal, but their economic and psychological costs could be significant. It's deeply disturbing in that companies worldwide continue to see breaches as a result of known vulnerabilities they failed to patch. The White House push comes just days before the president is set to embark on a trip to Brussels for a NATO summit before heading to Poland, and amid the U.S. government's efforts to declassify intelligence about Russia's plans in Ukraine. The U.S. has previously disclosed its findings to deter the Kremlin and other adversaries from following through on plans and undermine attempts at plausible deniability. White House officials delivered classified briefings to more than 100 companies last week, urging at-risk private sector partners to bolster cybersecurity defenses against potential intrusions by Russia-linked actors. Yes, up your game, people. Defense against these threats is important. Most of America's critical infrastructure is owned and operated by the private sector, and critical infrastructure owners and operators must accelerate efforts to lock their digital doors. The Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, has been actively working with organizations across critical infrastructure to rapidly share information and mitigation guidance to help protect their systems and networks. Organizations of every size and across every sector are encouraged to report cyber incidents to CISA or their local FBI field office. DHS will continue to share timely and actionable information and intelligence to ensure our partners and the public have the tools they need to keep our communities safe and secure and increase nationwide cybersecurity preparedness. For months, the Biden administration has prodded companies to prevent cyber intrusions through a slew of tactics: multi-factor authorization, patching known vulnerabilities, running through drills and emergency plans, as well as encrypting and backing up data. U.S. officials have not let their guard down. What they're focused on right now, very urgently, is working very closely with our private sector partners, with our state and local partners, and with our federal partners to ensure that there's a robust understanding of the cyber threat environment and the potential consequences of Russian malicious cyber activity. It's increasingly difficult to prevent bad things from happening. So they have to work together and assume that bad things will happen, assume there will be cyber attacks, assume there will be disruptive activity. Officials are increasingly worried about vigilance fatigue among U.S. companies sprinting to secure their networks. It's hard to maintain a very high tempo of extreme preparedness. But we're not even a month into this unjust, illegal, unprovoked invasion of a democracy, and we need to continue to keep our shields up. We're putting out more and more information so that folks understand the nature of the threat environment. They sure are prone to get exhausted if the threat of potential breaches prevails. Since November, the Department of Homeland Security has overseen more than 80 briefings, table exercises, and informational sessions with the private sector designed to bolster U.S. cyber defenses in the event of Russian militia cyber activity. Lawmakers have voiced their concerns directly to the DHS Secretary. 22 U.S. senators, led by Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen of Nevada and Republican Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota, signed a bipartisan letter demanding more information about the U.S. response to Russian cyber threats and disinformation. CISA vowed in a response letter to brief lawmakers in the coming days. You go, guy! Cheers, y'all! We deserve more information on this topic. CISA and the FBI released several joint cyber bulletins, including an advisory detailing the threat to satellite communication networks just days after reports of a hack by unidentified actors directed at telecommunications firm Viasat. Reuters first reported on the disruption of broadband satellite internet access at the start of the Russian invasion. The Ukrainian government said it suffered over 3,000 DDoS, or distributed denial of service attacks, that have barraged government websites with traffic until they grind to a halt. But a cyber attack on a NATO member state could prompt Article 5, its collective defensive clause, according to previous statements by Jens Stoltenberg, NATO Secretary General. The hypothetical trigger has intensified concerns that the Russian invasion of Ukraine could spill over to the United States and other territories. An attack on critical infrastructure that can be tied to the Russian government would absolutely be grounds for escalation. Depending on the impact of that incident, it could have significant consequences down the road in terms of potential direct involvement of the United States in this conflict. These threats and attacks are really getting out of hand. Officials have said that Russian hacker interest in the U.S. energy sector is particularly high, and CISA urged in a statement to be especially mindful of the mitigation measures recommended in the alert. The FBI issued an alert saying Russian hackers have scanned at least 5 unnamed energy companies for vulnerabilities. The malware was designed to be a framework to go after lots of different types of industries and be leveraged multiple times. Based on the configuration of it, the initial targets would be LNG and electric in North America. The malware could be used to shut down critical machinery, sabotage industrial processes, and disable safety controllers, leading to the physical destruction of machinery that could lead to the loss of human lives. It compared the tools to Triton, malware traced to a Russian government research institute that targeted critical safety systems and twice forced the emergency shutdown of a Saudi oil refinery in 2017, and to Indestroyer, the malware that Russian military hackers used the previous year to trigger a power outage in Ukraine. The newly discovered malware, dubbed Pipe Dream, is only the 7th such malicious software to be identified that is designed to attack industrial control systems. Mandiant said the tools pose the greatest threat to Ukraine, NATO members, and other states assisting Kiev in its defense against Russian military aggression. Dragos, which specializes in industrial control system protection, identified and analyzed its capability in early 2022 as part of its normal business research and in collaboration with partners. Schneider Electric is one of the manufacturers listed in the alert whose equipment is targeted by the malware. Omron is another. Mandiant said it had analyzed the tools in early 2022 with Schneider Electric. In a statement, Palo Alto Networks executive Wendy Whitmore said, "We've been warning for years that our critical infrastructure is constantly under attack. Today's alerts detail just how sophisticated our adversaries have gotten. No more specifics are offered." In addition to Dragos and Mandiant, the U.S. government alert offers thanks to Microsoft, Palo Alto Networks, and Schneider Electric for their contributions. President Biden was clear, very clear. He said, "We're not looking for a conflict with Russia, but if Russia initiates a cyber attack against the United States, we will respond." Good God. Well, that's clarity on that matter. That's it for today, guys. Stay tuned to our channel for more updates.